April here on Tarot and Witchery, and I'm doing a hashtag, a VR response to Abby the Witch, who did her More Than a Witch tag. And I thought this was a lot of fun and a great way to kind of get to know some things about me. So again, I'm going to say this is a great thing to listen to while you're doing the dishes or something like that, so that you're not, you don't need to be staring at my face on the screen. You can just be listening to me in the car or whatever. I'd love to hear if you're not a YouTuber, because I've been watching everybody's YouTube on this. If you're not a YouTuber, I'd love to hear some of your responses on these questions, because they're really fun and it's just kind of fun to get to know one another. Okay, quick housekeeping here. I'm going to say, hey, if you are interested in getting PDF printables and other cool little blog posts and so forth, then you can subscribe to my newsletter down below called The Whisper. And there's a link for that down there. Okay, also, just really quickly, you guys, I just redid my website, and if any of you have been there and have found some glitches, I'd love for you to go ahead and shoot me an email or let me know, like, hey, your website's not working or something like that, because it was a tremendous undertaking doing that. Okay, question number 1. What's your name? Any stories or meanings connected to your name? So, my name is April. I say it every time I'm on here. My name is April, and I was actually born in April, but I was supposed to be born in March. So I'm actually a late baby, a couple days late, 3 days late. And the story, oh no, can you hear me? Maybe I need to put this up here. The story behind my name was that there was a movie called April in Paris. And it's actually kind of a tragedy. I know this sounds crazy, but I've never seen it. I need to see it. And I was named after April in Paris, who was this free spirit. My mom was very much into that idea. My name itself, of course, is a month, but it also means becoming. So that's kind of an interesting little thing. So for a while, I was an artist for 10 years, and my name was Becoming April, because I feel that that is sort of me my whole life. I'm always becoming, and I love that. So it's kind of a double becoming, but nobody knew that. All right, how old am I? I am glorious 50. Yes, the 50s are truly fabulous. It is true. Number 3. Do you use astrology, Western or real sky? What are your big 3? Okay, so yes, I do use astrology. I love astrology. I kind of have a mind that works that way, where I see patterns. So like when I do readings for people, I ask you for your big 3, because I want to use that when I read for you. So real sky or Western? Primarily I've done Western, but I am familiar with real sky, and it's a very interesting idea and notion here. I'm going to get philosophical for a minute. It's so interesting, the ways in which we tie ourselves to an identity. So if you know your sun, maybe you've studied it, and you begin to think of yourself as this way or that way. You know your moon, your rising, you think of yourself in these ways. And then somebody comes up and says, hey, did you know there's a different way to have totally different signs? And so it makes me think that life is subjective. What we choose to grab onto, what we choose to make real to ourselves, is deeply personal and real to us. So for many, many years, I have known myself in Western astrology as an Aries sun, a Sag moon, and a Cancer rising. And in some ways, this fits me really well. And in real sky, I am a Pisces sun, a Scorpio moon, and a Gemini rising. And I have to say, the Scorpio moon makes more sense to me than the Sag moon by far. So when I think about that, I think about how I know myself outside of any label that I'm trying to push myself into. What I know about Scorpio, the Scorpio moon makes a lot more sense to me than the Sag moon, truly. Thinking of myself as a Pisces, going from a fire sign to a water sign is really strange for me. Seeing myself as Gemini rising, that is not a stretch at all, because I am very mutable, very changeable, very quick, very mercurial. So it's kind of an interesting thing to think about, what we tether our identity to. There are people, I mean, we are who we are. Do we hem ourselves in by these ideas that we glean from astrology, and do we somehow foreclose other realities because we've tied our consciousness to something? So this year it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of in and out of astrology. For a while there, I really was way into astrology, but for now, the main thing that I follow is the moon cycles, and just by looking up in the sky and being aware of where those moons are. But I do love astrology, and I do check in every month with Western and real sky astrology, and I look at how each one of those viewpoints colors my life, and how I can use that coloration to my advantage, if that makes sense. So, okay, that was a little bit long. I'm trying to go quickly. Did you grow up in a religious household? What religion did that influence your current spiritual path? So, I did not grow up in what I would consider a religious household, quote unquote, air quotes there. Religious household. To me, religion is a framework that precludes freedom in many ways, because it is such a staunch framework. And eventually I feel like religion squeezes the life out of the people that are within it. And I know that sounds really harsh, so hear me out on this. I'm using the word religion. People can be spiritual, they can be into the Christed consciousness, totally into the Bible. Maybe it's the Talmud, the Mishnah, the Quran. All of these things are beautiful spiritual texts that can lead one into a personal spirituality that is life-giving. But when it becomes something that is too formulaic, it just becomes, in my personal opinion, religion kills. Religion takes the life right out of it. So I did grow up going to a Unitarian private school from K to 6. And so I learned a lot of the parables from the Bible, and they tried to teach about doing unto others as you would have them do unto you, and love was very important, and peace was very important. Of course, it was the 70s, so it was all love and peace. I did not learn about the idea of Jesus as Savior until my late 20s, and I did go into the church for a space of time before moving on. So I have been in the church, I have studied the Bible, I'm really very, very Bible literate. So I didn't grow up with Jesus as Savior. I didn't get that idea. I had this idea of Jesus as friend, and I had this idea of a moral responsibility to the people around me. My mother was very open. I grew up with Linda Goodman's Sun Signs book right there in the house, along with Playboy. So kind of interesting. My mom was very progressive, and she became a lawyer during a time when there weren't a lot of women who were lawyers. So she was a feminist in a very active, proactive being kind of way. And I feel like the religion I grew up with was be a free thinker, figure it out for yourself, look hard, ask questions, seek what is right for you. My mom really was very careful not to push any kind of religion my way, and to make sure that I would be able to decide for myself and only myself. And I feel that that has been a gift to me in my life, because I have felt good about going from knowledge to knowledge, allowing my belief system to transform and become something new. Sorry guys, I'm getting froggy here. Tea. All right. So I feel like that really has made it so that for me, I have always been a seeker and loved seeking and loved learning and loved changing. And that was something that my mom really just kind of preached. And so, and it being just the two of us, I was an only child and a child of a single parent for many, many years, kind of cloistered in that. So, and also I was being an only child. I was also a latchkey kid. A lot of us were, right? Let me know out there, Generation Xers, how many of you were latchkey kids? I was a latchkey kid, and because my school was so far away, I had no friends in my neighborhood. So my whole life was an imaginary world until 7th grade, honestly, that I lived in, except when I was at school. So pets and nature and building, like crafting and building, imagination was my whole world. So I feel like it's really been ideal for the kind of freak that I am, right? Okay. What are you manifesting for your future? And I've seen so many people get to this and kind of stumble. I have to say, the older I get, the more it gets very nebulous, because I feel like I know that I don't know, and I don't know what I will do tomorrow. I've had so many different careers, and I've done so many different things. When I say, what am I manifesting? I would say myself, my true self, my authentic self. This making me a little bit more of a left-hand path person, in that if I was going to, throw a label out there, left-hand path person, in that I am constantly doing shadow work, and I think I'm trying to manifest my truest self that is most loving. And I want to give something. I would say that I want to give love to the world. I want people to feel loved and held by me. So I think that's it. As far as like concrete things, more travel, more time in the woods. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to clean up our land a little bit. There's some spots of our land that need to be cleaned up, but that's not really manifesting. That's just like being with the land. So that's my answer there. My mic is just really pulling. Okay. Do you have a favorite season? What time of the year makes you feel the most authentically you? It's definitely when it's dark. So right now is wonderful. It is fall. Probably my favorite is fall, because I love the changing of the leaves. To me, it's this time when finally it starts to cool off. I find the sun rather oppressive. It's so funny. When I was young, summer was my favorite season. I just loved it. But it's definitely fall. The cool of fall, when it changes and the leaves change. I love winter because I love the landscape when the leaves fall off and I can just see the evergreens and the silhouettes of the trees against a gray sky. I love it when it rains. I love it when it's gray and dreary. I love it. Love it when there's very little light, like it's getting darker and darker. I got up at, I was up at 4:30 this morning and it didn't get light till 7:30. And I'm totally happy. I'm just so happy to spend that time in the dark, and I'm happy when the dark comes early in the evening. The spring, I do love the spring because I get excited to plant things and I get excited to see the changes in the land. Obviously, my least favorite is summer, but we need all that sun for food, right? So I'm grateful for the sunny days and times. Okay. And I guess the question was, what time of the year makes you feel most authentically me? And it's definitely fall. Yeah, it's definitely fall, just because I feel that is in alignment with my sense of turning, changing, my sense of reaping. I'm a person who likes to work towards goals, towards things coalescing. I love change. And so the fall is such a time of extreme change where we are bringing in the harvest. There's a speed to it, and it just seems to mesh with my spirit incredibly. 7. Do you have a favorite color? Do you feel this is your aura color? If not, what do you think your aura color is? So this is a really interesting question. I worked with a group of ladies last year, and we kind of talked about auras and working with auras. I do not see auras as one color. So it's kind of interesting because we have multiple layers to our aura. My favorite colors are orange, brown, and green. And I wear them a lot, a lot. They're nature colors, also the colors of fall, right? As a matter of fact, my family was just like, can you please stop wearing brown? So I've tried to buy more blue. I love black. I wear a lot of black. I'm wearing black right now. So I love black, and I feel like black is also a color that to me is the primordial essence of all. So to me, it's not white that holds all of the potential, but black. And so I love that. And that's why I love shadow work, because I know that there is so much power within the shadow waiting to be lived and understood. My aura color, do I think it's orange? Do I think it's, I think it's a lot of different things. Like if I look right now, kind of just the basic. I don't know if you do this with your hand. You can do it's easier with a white piece of paper, and I have brown. But it's more like purple and blue right now, Anyway, let me know. Who reads auras out there? Anybody out there an aura reader? That's something that's just naturally your thing. I do not pick up on auras that way from people, but I can pick up on I pick up on vibes. I pick up on energy. I do get smells off of people, and I tend to see things on people's faces, not like objects, but I read people. I see micro expressions that other people don't see all the time, and yet it seems like it's really blatant. And so again, what is reality? Am I just picking up on your vibe and interpreting that or translating that into an expression on your face? And so I'm seeing something that other people are not because they're not tuned into that. I don't know, but I do read people's faces, and I see all sorts of things, and I do hear things about people, but aura reading, not my thing. Okay. I've got my computer screen here, and it just keeps going off on me. Do you have a job, career, lifestyle that makes money or helps support you or you and your family in any way? What do you do? So yes, I have 2 jobs. Actually 3 if you count the farm. So we have the farm, which is primarily perennials. So that's kind of a part-time gig, kind of a seasonal gig. I do have a tarot reading business, so I read tarot and I teach tarot, and I have online courses that I do on magic as well, and tarot. I'm working on a tarot course right now, you guys. That's my goal so I guess I'm manifesting that. That's something. In 2023, I'm going to have a tarot course that I'm going to do on, I think, the minor arcana. I don't think I'm going to do a full-blown course like Learn the Tarot. I think I'm going to do something on the minor arcana, kind of going deeper with it. Because I think most of you read, or I would do something that if you had the basics, you could do it. Anyway, I'm digressing. So yes, I have that. And then my other job, believe it or not, is kind of like being a tarot reader as well. I help people get their Social Security and disability benefits. And I do that 2 days a week at my husband's office. My husband is an attorney, and I am a representative. I don't have a law degree, but I help people. The main thing I do is a lot like what I do when reading tarot in some ways, because I'm kind of a hand holder. I help people get through their paperwork. I help them navigate difficult times in their life. I'm the person that people call at the office. I know when your dog dies. I send out Christmas cards and get well cards and things like that. Because to me, when I started doing that job, it felt very lifeless. It felt like pushing paperwork for the government, because that is a lot of what I do, and I needed it to have deeper meaning for me. And so I decided to really love my clients and to be interested in their life and to be their personal cheerleader. So that is what I do, and yes, it does make money. All of these make money. the farm being the least. Farming is a labor of love. Okay, what are some of the things that make you unique and an individual? Oh gosh, there are so many things that make me unique, and I've seen so many people kind of struggle with this one. I think for me, one of the things that I think is interesting about me that I don't see in everyone around me is that I really care about people feeling empowered. That is something that is deeply important to me. I want everyone to feel like they can read tarot. I want everyone to feel like they can do shadow work. I want everyone to know that their path, their magical path, is totally born within them, and they can trust themselves, and they can find their way. I want everyone to know that they are enough, and that what is within you is so special, and it's so right on, the way it is right now, even in your brokenness. And so for me, I want people to feel empowered. And I think that's something that's unique. I say everybody has a song, something that they bring to this world, a message that they bring to humanity. And that is the one for me, is to let people know that they can. You can, and just being yourself is enough. And that's very important to me. That was always important to me as a teacher, to recognize every student for who they are and not to try to pigeonhole any student, to let them learn the way that they need to learn and encourage them to draw on their own personal strengths and to love themselves. You know, I really want to instill confidence in people, and I think that's not something that everybody has. I think that is something that makes me unique. I'm also super comfortable with talking to anybody, going up into a crowd. When I was 19, I bought a house out in the middle of nowhere, and I had some friends who moved with me, and they quickly moved away, and I went into this place of depression. And just the way I am, the phoenix is kind of my power animal. I was like, whoop, no, I can't do this. I have to make a life. And so at that time, I decided that I would go out, I would pick events, and I would go out and I would introduce myself to strangers and attempt to make friends. And so I have no problem going up to strangers, interjecting myself places. I actually enjoy it. I actually really enjoy it. So that's kind of unique. My style's pretty unique. I think I've been wearing the same clothes since I left home at 16. Just kind of like a hippie, sort of witchy woman. I've been in skirts my whole life. Even when I drive tractor, I'm in a skirt. You'll find me out gardening in a skirt. I'm always in a skirt. I make a lot of my clothes. Or I should say I used to make a lot of my clothes. I have a lot of clothes that I've made. I need to get back to that. So those are kind of some things that make me unique. Tell me down below some of the things that make you unique. Okay. What advice would you give your younger self? First and foremost, buy Apple. Yeah, I would have, if I could go back, I'd be like, buy Apple, just get a job and put every penny into Apple. But on a more serious note, I think one of the things that I was thinking about this question, I would tell myself whatever, every year or every couple years, devote yourself to something and get really good at it. Like, I'm such a person that flits around. That's that Gemini, I guess. I would say get good at something. Really stick around long enough and be present. Be more present. I look back and I think of the wonderful opportunities that I have, and I almost feel like, I squandered them in a lot of ways because I didn't have the presence of mind to be present, to value what I actually had in the moment, and not to be racing on to the next thing. So I think those are kind of the biggies. I think the other thing that I would tell myself is be kinder. Be kinder. And if you have to act tough, it's because you're afraid. Get comfortable with your vulnerability, because, I was homeless at a very young age in San Francisco on the streets, so I had to be very tough and not show vulnerability. And, you know, honestly, it was dangerous. It was physically dangerous. And because of that, I didn't get those final years going into adulthood with some security. And so I had a lot of vibrato. And so I spent a lot of my time puffing up as a knee-jerk response to being around people to create a safety bubble. And I wish I had learned to cultivate vulnerability sooner than I did, because it really is a superpower. So yeah, those are my advices. And 11, favorite interests, hobbies, or activities outside of witchcraft. This one's hard. Okay, so does gardening count as outside of witchcraft? Gardening, hiking. I do like crafting. Like, I like crocheting. In the winter, I will crochet. I like sewing. I used to make clothing, like I said. I haven't done it in a long time. I own a dressmaker's dummy. What else do I do? Just a lot of crafting, I guess. Doing nothing. Oh my God, that's such a good hobby. Just sitting and staring out the window with a cup of tea and just daydreaming. Is that a hobby? Yeah. Hobby kind of implies that you do it on a regular basis. I like paper crafts and I love pens, but that kind of goes along with my witchiness, because I'm, you know, those are for Book of Shadows and so forth. So, I'm getting into incense crafting this year. So maybe that'll be my new thing that takes. But I love essential oils and I love herbal crafting, but I kind of feel like that's witchy. So does that really count? Tell me what your hobbies are down below as well. Okay, how long is this? Oh my gosh, 27 minutes. We are done. I guess my other favorite interest, I would say, is reading books. I love books and I love listening to audiobooks. I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. So there we have it. I hope that some of you will go ahead and answer below. And until we meet again, may you enjoy who you are and not think that you have to change one single bit.